Hi, thanks Lorraine for the introduction. As she mentioned, I'm Kenia, Senior Client Lead from Wolfgang Digital, and I'm here with Roisin Linnie, our Head of Social. And today we're going to talk on how insights can help you reshape your digital strategy. I think we choose this topic in particular because we truly believe that nowadays, in these uncertain times, data insights are becoming key to overcome and adapt to this new commercial environment that we are all living. And at the end of the day, data insights will help you as well to make better business decisions. So for this case study, we are going to talk about one of our clients, Elverys. So just to give you some background before we jump in. Elverys, as you know, is Ireland's oldest sports store. They've been here for a while. They have a wide range of products. They provide sportswear, footwear, home gym equipment, and more. So we started working with them, I think it was in Q4 of 2018. So it's been nearly 2 years since we started working with Elverys. And I think at the beginning of our relationship, it was really important for us to get to know them a little bit more. And here is where it comes this first insight. The case study that we will present is based on two different insights that we got from Elverys. One of them, it was internal, so it was basically from their audience, getting to know them a little bit more. And the second insight, it was regarding the difference that we were seeing in the industry during COVID-19. So let's start with the first one. The first one, it was audience-based or audience-related. At the beginning, when we start working with them, we normally assume that men will perform better than women, and this is just because of a bunch of reasons. We were working with a brand that was sport related. They have lots of good inventory in jerseys, so we thought that men would perform better than women. But something that we found in the first year was that actually women perform better for them. When we were analyzing the data from their Google Ads, we realized that it was more or it was easier to convert a women, or it was easier to get a sale from women than it was for men. We were seeing 38 higher conversion rates for women than for men. So that means that women were more likely to buy than men, at least from the ads. It wasn't only easier for us to get the sale from them, but it was also cheaper. It cost us 30% less to get a conversion from women than from men. And also, women were spending more money with the brand. We were seeing also higher ROAS from them, 26%. If you want to run the same exercise, if you want to know a little bit more about your audience, I recommend you to go to your Google Ads account, if possible, and filter the data by gender. So you can actually see how women are like performing against men. You can also see the location base or time of the day. There are lots of different features that you can try out. For this exercise, we will focus on this insight. As you can see here, the conversion rate for women was higher. We were seeing more conversions. The cost, the value that we were getting was higher, and the cost per conversion was also lower. So that was our first insight. Despite thinking that men could perform better, we realized that women were performing better in online, at least for Elverys. So this doesn't mean that we will neglect men, but this means that we had now a different perspective in what was going on. We have a different insight that before we didn't know about, and this could help us to open up those possibilities to start thinking differently about what we could do for Elverys. So what we do with these insights, we communicate it to our social team, and we start reshaping our strategy based on that. Roshan will take you through more information about this later on in the presentation, but basically one of the things that we did for social was incorporating more creative assets that were tailored for women so that they could relate with the ad and therefore increase the likelihood for them to convert. So that was our first insight from the audience itself. The second one was from the industry. And the insight that we got from the industry was in a really critical time of the year. It was during the lockdown. So just for you to know, guys, we run a report online. It's called On the Money, and we actually track how the Irish online economy is changing depending of what time of the year it is after COVID. So in this case, for instance, you can see here that when COVID started, the first cases started, we start seeing an increase in revenue and an increase in sessions coming from our retail websites or our e-commerce websites. The main reason why this happened, it was due to demand and the restrictions that we were seeing. Before, during the lockdown, we weren't able to shop in store. So therefore, we were trying to find different solutions to still get the products that we were looking for. So there was a shift in demand, and the offline demand was actually moving into our online demand. And for that reason, we see lots of more people searching for the products, going to their websites, and that relates to that increase in traffic and more people buying online because offline wasn't an option anymore. For this case study, I'm just presenting the data from the first months, so from the beginning of the lockdown and the phase that we open up a little bit the lockdown. But if you want to see more information about this, please go to our website, Wolfgang Digital, and subscribe to our newsletter, and you will be able to get this report. So going back to that second insight, when the pandemic was happening and we had the lockdown, the second question here was, okay, we know that there is more demand. We know that because we are seeing it, there is more revenue uh, going in online and more people going to e-commerce websites. But what are people buying in these times? We work with a great bunch of e-commerce and retail so clients. So we were really lucky in the sense that we were able to see the difference in purchase behavior and how people were actually buying depending of the month that we were living in. So if you remember in March, I think it was the month where we had the most uncertainty. So we didn't know what's going to happen, and we start panicking and we start doing like panic shops, right? So in March, if I want to put only one product by month, I will say that March was the month of the toilet paper. Like we bought toilet paper, not only like a roll or a couple of rolls for the week, but like in bulk, a lot of it. So, and it was coming from a place where we didn't know what's going to happen. We didn't know if there would be enough supply. So we were making rush decisions on what to buy. By the time that it's a month passes, like pubs were closed, we were at home, and I think we said, look, if we cannot go out and drink out, we might just start drinking at home. And basically, I think that was the data was telling us there was an increase in wine and beer-related items in April, and it wasn't like a rush buy, but it was like we were trying to figure out what was the right balance to have at home as well. And I think like we were all stressed out, and that was, I'm not saying the best way to cope, but one way of coping with what was happening. But then I think after 2 months of being in lockdown, we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say like, fuck, I need to do something about my appearance. Like I need a haircut. I need to like change my hair color. Like do something. I need to take control of myself. And we start seeing a great increase in these kind of products, like scissors to cut your hair, hair clippers. I remember like when we were at that point, even out of boardroom, I was like, I need to do something. So, and I couldn't see my husband with that hair anymore. So I took the clippers and I started making like my do-it-yourself kind of haircut at home. It was fun for me, maybe not for him that much, but that was something that we were as well doing in May, and that was something that it was shaping the way we were shopping online. And I think when we passed all that in May, uh, June, we were thinking about ourselves a little bit more. Maybe we were thinking, okay, I cannot drink as much as I was drinking at the beginning of the lockdown. Uh, I need to start looking after myself. Maybe it's time to regain a little bit of control. Gyms are still not open. That doesn't mean that I cannot do something about my well-being. And in that moment is when we start seeing that more people were looking for free yoga classes, free workouts that I could do at home. And we saw a rise on the different products that could allow those activities to happen in people's home. So yoga mats were on the rise, runners were on the rise, and everything that it was sport related was really growing. So for us, for Elverys, we needed to see what were the products actually that people were buying the most. And that's our second insight. We look at the different products that they have available. We went and see the search terms report. This is something that you can do if you just Google Trends and then add your country there, add the keyword that you want to track. In this case, the product that maybe you have available in your website, add it there. You will be able to notice if there was a change in demand during the months. What we noticed for Elverys is that for leggings, there was a big change in demand. As you can see for the red line, we were seeing the same levels of demand for leggings that we were seeing in Black Friday and Christmas last year. So it was a product that we could capitalize on. And this gave us an insight of how can we use this to get a business opportunity on the back. For us, we knew now at this point from our first insight that women actually were a more prominent targeting that we thought, and leggings was a really good product that would match that targeting. So we knew with the data that this could be a good opportunity for Elverys, maybe to go and talk to their suppliers, buy more stock on this, buy less stock on the products that weren't as popular in that period, so that they could switch their budgets and buy more of what demand was telling us that there was an opportunity on. And this is something that we did with them. I think you need to talk, even if you are a digital marketer, you need to talk with your clients if you are business partners, and try to translate how this data can actually be helpful for them and for the business. So this is what we did. And they talked with their suppliers and they got more stock in this area, so to try to cope with that demand. With that, we also needed to shift some budgets around. So we knew that there was more demand for this product. So we were focusing more on giving more an emphasis to this product in the short term. Finally, another thing that helped us, or this insight helped us with, was with our content plan production and with creative production. So now we know that there are certain products that are performing better, but maybe we didn't have the images or the content to promote with. So we had a chat with them and we let them know that this is something that we want to focus on, and they provided us with blog content related to leggings, and also images related to leggings too. So in a nutshell, our second insight was coming from the industry, and it was coming from the demand, how people were changing their daily lives and how this was impacting the demand that we were seeing. And for me, at least, another insight that I got, and this is just personal, is that at least for the lockdown period, I think jeans were a little bit overrated. I didn't use them that much, and leggings were my best friends. So I will pass it to Roshan now, and she will tell you how these insights, how we incorporate them, and how we change our strategy a little bit on the back of them. So I pass it to you now, Ro.
Thank you, Kenya. Yes, I want to talk to you about how we used all these great insights to shape our social strategy. So, yeah, I guess you could probably see from the slide, you can see some Google trends, right? And, as Kenya mentioned, we have to be really reactive when looking at Google trends and to see what were people searching for and what was increasing in terms of products. So we had to be extremely agile. And one of the things that was increasing, which was home gym equipment. I know Kenya already spoke about the peak in home gym around April, May, and June time. So you might think this is absolutely great for Elverys because they stock home gym equipment. And at first it was. So we were pushing out lots of social media ads, as you can see from the slide there on the right. That's an example of a dynamic product ad on social where we're promoting home gym equipment. But these became very quickly out of stock because the demand was too high. And also, there are such big items. We're talking about treadmills, for example. So they're actually very difficult to deliver as well. So there was lots of restrictions. So all of a sudden, Elverys were like, we can't promote this anymore. So we need to be very quick and figure out a new strategy. So what can we promote? So just on the next slide now, you'll see we had to go back to Google Trends and go into and look in their Google Analytics and find out, okay, what products are actually selling for Elverys. So again, you can see, and Kenya mentioned this previously, we started to see big increases in other kind of sports items, for example, leggings and sports bras. And this was great that these were also selling in nice quantities and people were searching for them because these items, there were no stock issues and they're much easier to deliver as well. So it made sense that we shifted our strategy really quickly to focus on these. So we go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so this is an example of a kind of full funnel strategy we started to push out quickly for the likes of sports bras. So you'll see on the left, Elverys already had some great blog content related to finding the perfect sports bra. So we repurposed this content and pushed it out on social. We also did some work with influencers where they talked about finding the right sports bra, what they look for, and that we pushed that out through Instagram and Facebook as well. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see a collection ad, and this is basically remarketing ads, so getting the products in front of users in their newsfeed. On the next slide now, I'll show you how we did the same thing essentially for leggings. So there was a great piece of content that Elverys had, which was the ultimate leggings guide. So all the things you need to consider when buying a pair of leggings. So of course we repurposed that, pushed that out on social. Again, a collection ad showing the product and showing a nice piece of creative. And then for both of these, we had remarketing ads running. These are dynamic product ads. So if anyone had viewed leggings or sports bras on the website, we made sure that they saw these ads in their newsfeed if they hadn't purchased. So that's kind of in a nutshell the two kind of full funnel strategies we did for those products. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so I guess something that was really important was that we were innovative and that we stood out from the crowd, I guess, on the newsfeed. The whole fitness industry was booming around this time as everyone started working out at home. So for Elverys, it was a really competitive space on social, actually. So we did a few tactics that were quite innovative for this campaign, one of which was using the polling ads on Facebook overlaid on a video. Now, when you use the polling ad functionality overlaid on a video, of course, people can vote, which is great, really engaging, captures an audience. You can actually then create two audiences based on their answer, which is an excellent way of remarketing to users in that upper funnel and engaging them at the same time. So in this poll, we asked users, Kenya mentioned that jeans were gone. So of course, the hot topic was all about leggings. But we had an inkling that people might necessarily be just wearing them for working out. So we asked the question in the poll ad, do you wear leggings for working out or for watching Netflix? And surprisingly, well, probably actually unsurprisingly, the response was 54% said they wear them for watching Netflix. And a bit later on, I'm going to show you how we actually use that insight. Another innovative tactic we use is it's an ad format called collection ads. These are an excellent ad format which combine a nice piece of creative in the upper funnel. You can see the image there, you can use a video here, and it has a product feed underneath. So this was great for this campaign because, you know, we had to act quickly. We had to get the product in front of users quickly. We couldn't be showing lots of video and a really long funnel. So with the collection ad, you can show your video, you can introduce your product offering. You can also have your products underneath which show the price and click to go to the website. So they were kind of two ads we used. Another tactic we used was, reallocating budget between categories. So obviously, Kenya mentioned, you know, we focused a bit on men's previously, but during this time we shifted the budget to focus more on women's categories. Integration with PPC was a really important part of this campaign too. So we've spoken a lot about Google Trends and demand. So we could see users were going to Google to find out where to get sports bra or gym equipment. Obviously, that's where people go, and when they know they want something, they go to Google. So this is great, and Google is amazing at capturing those audiences. So we were actually able we use these audiences for social as well. So let's say somebody typed in sports bra and saw the Elverys PPC ad. If they clicked on that ad, and let's say then they don't go to the website or they don't purchase anything, we would add those users as an audience. So everyone who clicked on that PPC ad, and make sure we showed them lots of content related to sports bras on social to make sure they come back in the funnel and purchase later. So I mentioned the polling ad, so I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring this up again. But essentially, I mentioned the polling ad a few slides ago, and how we use this insight in other channels. So we found out that 54% of people who voted in this poll actually wear leggings not to work out. So we actually took this insight and changed our copy slightly. And one of the places we changed the copy was in our display ads. So instead of running with the ad you'll see on the left there, trying a new exercise routine, we actually tested out a variation of that, which was leggings for exercise and for comfort, because we realized that people aren't just wearing leggings for working out. So we also integrated search and social in that way as well. Okay, so you might be wondering, these are all great insights, but like I need a list. How can I find the similar insights for my own brand or company? So I'm going to bring you through a few ways you can do this now. So where to find insights? The first, we're supposed to huge amount of data, but type in, for example, if you sell leggings or if you sell runners, you can type that in and see what times of year it's peaking and see if it's peaking right now. So it's great for that. The second option then is keyword research. So you can use the Google Keyword Planner for this, and it gives you a little bit more detail on what people are searching when it comes to keywords. So what are they searching in Google? And this is great just to indicate, it might show you different variations of keywords that you haven't considered, or it might just inspire you with different products that you haven't thought about promoting. So third then is your audience insights, which is obviously a no-brainer. Of course, use your insights from Google and social to find out who your audience is. What I always recommend is that you use both channels for your insights, because what we see often when we run this analysis is that your Facebook page insights or audience insights might be very different to your Google Analytics audience or your website audience. So for example, you might have, your Facebook fans or Facebook engagers might be 18 to 24-year-olds, but actually when you look at who's buying on your website, they might be 35 plus. So this is this indication that maybe your social strategy needs to be adjusted, or maybe your targeting on social needs to be adjusted. So I think when you look at your audience insights on both these channels, you can find some really interesting insights there. So number 4 then, using the behavior section in Google Analytics, this will show you top performing pages. So we were able to go here to see, okay, look, the sports bra blog that we promoted, or that we created last year, has started to get a few more sessions again. So let's repurpose that and push that out again. So seeing what pages are starting to increase is a really great way to get some insight on what users are looking for. Also in the behavior section, the search term report is great. So this is, if you have a website that has a search bar, in Google Analytics, you can then find out what people are typing into that search bar. So for example, if they're on Elverys, they could be typing in sports bras, and this would indicate, okay, users want this product, and maybe this product isn't that prominent on our newsfeed, but also let's start talking about this through our social and search channels as well. So that can be really insightful too. The next one is, the conversions section in Google Analytics. Of course, this is obvious, but this is where you go to see your product performance, what's selling on your website. Again, if you keep an eye on this, you might start to see trends, and you might start to see slight increases, and then you can make sure your social content, you're talking about that product. And yeah, I mentioned polling ads and the question sticker before, but these are really great ways to get lots of insight from your audience to kind of, I guess, crowdsource insight. So the poll ad, as I said, it's a great way. Look, you can obviously only really ask two things, so you're quite limited, but it can be a great way just to, if you have a quick question you want an answer to, and it's just a great way to engage audiences. But also the question box using Instagram stickers, the question box is great. If you want to ask users, for example, what do you look for in a sports bra? What do you find the most frustrating about sports leggings, for example? You might get some great insights, and then you might be able to use those insights in your social copy or your social campaigns. For example, maybe most people say that, I hate when sports leggings aren't high waisted enough, and maybe then you have high waisted leggings, so you're going to make sure you call that out in your social copy. So I think asking your audience questions, or even asking them what type of content they'd like to see, is massively valuable, and so easy to do really through Instagram and Facebook. You can even ask the question and ask them to leave the answer in the comments. And people do want to engage on social. So once you ask the question, you usually will get a nice response back. Cool. So I'm going to pass back over to Kenya now, who's going to bring you through the results of this campaign.
Thank you so much, Ro. So the result. For these results, we have seen that on the back of these two insights, on the back of changing our strategy and focusing a little bit more in women, we saw that there was an increase in revenue coming from women year on year. 127% more revenue was coming from women. You can see here right away that there is an increase in the gap of revenue from the time that we start with this shift in strategy. From March, April, and then May, you can see where actually it was a complement on the shift towards strategy and also the shift in demand. And this is when we saw the biggest increase in revenue coming from women here. If we want just to focus on how the revenue was impacted for tights and leggings, this is what we actually need to look at. Is you go to your Google Analytics and you filter by product. So when we did that, we actually saw that there was an increase in revenue of over 400% coming from this product in particular on the back of this shift in strategy. In here, you have your product revenue. You put the product that you want to look for, and you can see that big increase in product revenue on the back of the campaigns that we were running and on the back of the demand that we were seeing as well for this product in particular. So overall, it was a good campaign. Overall, it was a really good way of taking those insights and using them in their favor and to actually have an impact on their commercials on the back of it. So before we leave you guys, we want to leave you with three key takeaways. So the first one is use the data that you have available to shift your targeting methods. So you might discover there are lots of things that you might not know or didn't know about your audience. So dig deep into your data, use different filters, because you might be surprised by what you find there, as in it was in our case. The second one is ensure that your digital strategy is in line with the industry trends. Go to Google Trends, type the products that you have, see if there is a shift as well in product demand, and act fast. If you can't, try to talk with your providers and try to get those stock levels up in the areas where you're seeing a trend in demand in certain products. It will help you to capitalize on that demand and provide the users with the products that you have in available. The third one is integrate your PPC and social strategy. This is really important because at the end of the day, you want to sell your products to humans. And as humans, we want to have a seamless experience online. So by sharing those audiences insights, by having a consolidated strategy, you can provide that seamless journey to your customers. So I hope that you learned something today, guys, and we thank you so much for the time and see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.